Welcome to Touch by TT. First of all, there is a 1.5 minute grace period to show up for your appointment. Anything after that, you will be charged $15 per half minute until you show up. If you show up with water, food, or kids, all 3 of them will be thrown out immediately. Yes, including your kids. Come with your hair washed, detangled, and blow dried. I don't do hair dirty or nappy hair, so please respect my time.
If you're late, there's a fee. If you want to style the hair, there's a fee. If you got a low hairline, there's a fee. There's a fee for everything.
Just need to go ahead and make a documentary called Surviving Black Beauticians, because
no, they need to make a series on new age hairstylists, because back in the day, 90s hairstylists would never. Back in the day, hairstylists was licensed and a lot of them went to church. All the stylists had their own salons and they had their licenses posted up at the door. They had an assistant that would greet you at the door and book your appointments, and they would also have an assistant that was on wash and hair duty, and they would slay no less than 5 women at the same time.
Welcome back to my channel. I'm back in another video, and I am here to talk about these hairstylists, these new up and coming, I guess, new generation of hairstylists that a lot of people have been going online to complain about. Now, I actually briefly spoke about this in a previous video that I did on how I haven't been to the hair salon in several years, but no one watched it. So I'm making this one, and I'm going to touch on some, similar themes that I shared in that particular video. But I have been seeing a lot of Black women, so that's a demographic for this video. Not to say that certain things can't apply to certain other demographics, but for this particular video, I'm talking about Black hairstylists. So I've seen a lot of Black women online complaining about some of these new hairstylists and just some of the ridiculousness that you have to go through nowadays to get your hair done. And honestly, it's spanning across all services, not even just getting your hair done, but also getting your nails done, getting your eyebrows done, getting anything done. Like, any type of service-based business has been under attack lately because of how certain people have run their businesses. And of course, it's not all, but these few, honestly, I can't even say few anymore. It's been a good number, and I've seen it mostly in some of the bigger cities or some of the more popular locations, so to speak, that people tend to have these issues. But overall, I think that the experience of getting your hair done at a salon, or even not at a salon, because back in the day, a lot of us would go to people's homes and we would get our hair done in people's kitchens, which I'm not against, by the way. Like, I'm not even saying that you have to go to a salon, but even that is becoming a foreign concept. The idea of spending the day at an actual salon, those days are starting to fade away. And I wanted to come on here and talk about this with some of you guys, because I don't know, like, it's getting ridiculous, and I want to keep hoping that it's gonna get better. It just seems like as time goes on, the worse and worse it gets. Now, I want to start off talking about some of these prices. Now, this is a slippery slope, right? And as an entrepreneur and as someone that has actively been trying to establish my own business, when you're first coming up, it's really difficult to solidify your prices in the beginning, because on one hand, especially if you're just starting out, your main goal normally is to just get clientele and to get customers, and so you might start off charging low. And even though that's something that a lot of people do, I still wouldn't necessarily say that that's something that you should do, because I don't believe in lowering your worth or not charging what you're worth for the sake of getting customers, right? But I understand the hustle, right? And so I'm not someone that is going to tell somebody what they should charge, especially if you feel that your work and what you bring and the amount of money and time and effort that you put into whatever it is that you do, right? I think that no one can tell you, what your worth is or what your value is. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that anybody should lower their prices. However, some of the prices I feel are kind of out there for what the market currently is for that particular service. And so, for instance, right, we talk about all the time how, getting box braids back in the day used to be like $150, or getting your nails done used to cost $25 for like a whole set, right? Now, obviously, times have changed. Obviously, inflation is a thing and people have bills. And I am all for people being able to live off of and make a living from their passions, right? So if you're passionate about doing hair, doing nails, creating art, whatever it is, I stand on the fact that people should be able to make a living from it if they are able to, and if the quality of their work allows for that, right? And so I'm not saying that we should revert back to those prices, because like I said, someone could have just been starting their business, and it was also back during a time where it wasn't as popular. Like there weren't a ton of people out there that were making a living doing nails, and a lot of the times you would have to have multiple skill sets in order to make that kind of money. But nowadays you literally have women who maybe only know how to do braids, but they don't know how to do other hairstyles, or you have women who only know how to do a certain thing and they're making a living just off of perfecting that specific thing. And I'm not knocking that at all, but I do think that your prices still should be reasonable. But if you are going to charge an arm and a leg for your services, I do think that that should also reflect in how you conduct business. And I think that's where the disconnect is. A lot of times people don't mind paying more for a service if they know that the quality of work is going to be good and the experience is going to be worth it. But a lot of the times nowadays, all of those things don't combine together. A lot of the times you see hairstylists who are charging $800 for medium box braids, but then they're constantly late. You're not allowed to eat. They aren't good at maintaining communication with their clients. Like the quality of work and the type of service that, you're offering people isn't matching the price point. But also, I'll be honest too, I do think there is a limit. Now, you could argue that with celebrity hairstylists or people that work with, clients of a certain caliber, sure, it makes sense to up your prices. But if you're just working locally, like if you know the majority of your clients make a certain amount of money or they're within a certain tax bracket, I don't think it makes sense to charge an insane rate for certain services. And like I said, if your work is just that good, then fine. But if it's not, that's where the problem comes in, because now you're just overcharging people just because you feel like you can, or because you feel like you're the only option that people have, so you can charge this insane amount of money. But to me, it has to make sense. And if you're gonna sit up here and charge $500 for a ponytail, that ponytail better last me 2 weeks, okay? Because again, it doesn't make sense. And also touching on, pricing and fees and stuff like that. A lot of these new hairstylists will create fees. They'll create extra fees in order to get even more money out of people. And so, for instance, I've seen this new fee popping up called new client fee. So basically, if you were just a new person that they have not done a service on before, that costs extra. That's so crazy to me. Don't you want new customers? Don't you want new clientele? Why would you charge somebody more because they're brand new? That does not make any sense. I've seen people charge extra for all kinds of things. Now, some stuff makes sense, right? For instance, if you're late, if you're running late to an appointment, I can see how a fee would make sense, because you're now, as the customer, you're playing with that person's time, and time is money. And so I understand if someone is running extremely late to charge them extra for that. I understand that. But again, I don't know, some of these fees just don't make sense. I'll try to find the picture to show it. I might not be able to, because I saw it so long ago. But I also saw there was this one stylist that had charged for if you're bringing your kid, like a babysitting fee, even though no one is babysitting the kid. And I can understand, sometimes kids are rowdy and, they want food or whatever the case. But I feel like if you're a parent that has to bring your child to your appointment and that child is I don't know. It's a slippery slope because, in my opinion, if you bring your kid to an appointment and the kid is well behaved, you brought snacks, you brought food, like you have everything taken care of, and they're well behaved, and they're really not hindering on you being able to do that person's hair at all, I don't think you should charge extra for that. So that's a slippery slope. Y'all can let me know in the comments how you feel about that. Like people who bring their kids, if they should have to pay extra for that. I personally don't think so, but y'all can let me know what you think. But yeah, I don't know. So that's just, yeah. Then also I want to get into some of the unrealistic rules that some of these stylists set. I feel like I have seen it all. With these rules and regulations, I've seen, and that goes back to the fees, because I've seen a stylist put that you aren't allowed to fall asleep. Now, me personally, I'm just someone that can't really fall asleep around people. Like, that's just not something that I do. I'm not someone that can just sit in a chair and fall asleep. Like, I don't think I've ever done that. Even when I rode the school bus, I don't even think I would fall asleep or take a nap until I was like maybe a senior in high school, because I was uncomfortable with that. Like, I don't ever just kind of like fall asleep like that. But some people do. Some people be tired. Maybe they drove a long time to get there, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of the times, if someone falls asleep sitting up, that means they are really exhausted, and they more than likely didn't do it on purpose. And so it's interesting to me how this particular stylist that I saw added an extra fee and the rule to not fall asleep in the chair while they're getting their hair done. I think that's a little iffy. I don't really like that. Also, the no food or drink rule. Honestly, that is the one rule that annoys me so bad. Not even just with this, but in general. Like, even when I was in school, or especially college, and you would have that rule of like, you can't bring any outside food or drink. It's like, why? I can maybe understand food to a certain degree, because sometimes people, be messy, they leave crumbs, and the next thing you know, the classroom was full of ants and creatures and all kinds of things. So I can kind of sort of understand the food thing. But drinks, I can't drink a bottle of water. To me, that's just ridiculous. And people who set those rules make no sense to me. And so if you have a hair appointment, and again, for a lot of Black women, our hair appointments last hours. And I think that's also why some of these rules don't make sense. We are literally in these chairs for hours and sometimes multiple days. So you're meaning to tell me, if I'm getting my hair done and I have to sit in your chair for 8+ hours, I can't have a snack? I can't have a drink? And I think that also goes back to, new generation stylists versus old generation stylists. Because again, for a lot of us who grew up in a Black hair salon, that was part of the culture. That was part of the experience. When someone would leave out and bring back food, and, they would bring them in the, the little white containers, and they would bring back food and everyone got to eat. Like, it was part of a whole experience. And so the fact that a lot of these stylists are saying like, nope, you have to starve, you literally have to starve while you're getting your hair done, I think it's just crazy to me. Also, another rule that I've been seeing pop up a lot lately, which I think speaks to this whole new era that we're in with social media and feeling the need to constantly look done up or look a certain way. A lot of stylists are now making you show up to your appointment photo ready. A lot of hairstylists are now requiring that you show up prepared for them to take photos of you. And I really don't like that rule. I think it should be optional, and I don't think that it should be forced onto people. And to say that you're going to refuse to do someone's hair because they won't allow you to take pictures of them, I think it's just very, very weird. I've even seen people go as far as to say you need to have a full face of makeup before coming to get your hair done. And I just think, again, all of this is just so ridiculous and superficial, and I think that is really taken away from the true hair salon or hairstylist experience. And I think this is why a lot of people now are opting to just not even fool with hairstylists at all, and to just do their hair themselves, because it's just not worth it. All these extra fees and high prices. Now you want me to come with my hair done and I gotta starve? It's just not worth it. Going to the hair salon or getting your hair done by somebody nowadays just is not worth it. And again, it's not all. There's still a few good ones out there, but for the most part, it's so ridiculous. And I'll say for me, right, like I started doing my own hair. Like right now, I have box braids in, right? I did this myself. Now, is it perfect? No. I wouldn't sit up here and say that I am anyone's professional, but I do it well enough to where I like it and I'm comfortable with it. I have learned how to do my own hair. Actually, there's two reasons why I started doing my own hair. For one, I couldn't afford to keep it up. And that's not on the fault of the hairstylist necessarily. I just was broke. When I was going natural, protective hairstyles literally saved me and it helped me to grow out my natural hair. And so when I was in that transition phase, I kept protective styles in my hair. But because of how rapidly my hair was growing, I couldn't upkeep the cost of keeping in protective styles. I could not afford to pay someone to do box braids or do whatever protective style on me like once or twice a month. I could not afford that cost as a broke college student. So that was one. But for two, I didn't want to have to keep manipulating my hair to get it done. Because I will say, and this is another thing that a lot of women have run into, is that a lot of hairstylists will require that you manipulate your hair prior to getting a protective style. And so a lot of them will want you to blow dry your hair or even straighten your hair prior to getting a protective style. And that was not something that I wanted to do. I pride myself on not putting heat to my hair. Literally since I have gone natural, I have never blow dried my hair. I've never straightened my hair. No heat has been put on my hair since going natural. And I want to keep it that way for as long as possible. That's why I won't get a silk press. People ask me all the time, well, why don't you get a silk press? Because it requires heat. And I know there's a way to make sure that your hair doesn't get damaged, but I don't even want to play with that. And so I just prefer to just no heat at all. But when I was getting my hair done, people would ask me like, hey, can you like straighten your hair or can you blow dry it? And I didn't want to keep doing that. And so yeah, I was like, you know what, I'll figure out how to do box braids, how to do twists. I'll figure out how to do these protective styles without doing that. And I've been pretty successful at it, and I plan on continuing to do that. But again, it's like with these hairstylists, it's just like, you know, they especially if you have like really coarse kinky hair, if you have some of that 4C 4D hair as I do, they don't even know how to work with that hair. They don't even want to attempt to work with it, and so they'll make you straighten your hair to do it. And I think that that's also not okay. And also too, a lot of these hairstylists aren't even licensed, which again isn't always an issue. A lot of us, you know, back in the day would just go to people's kitchens and get our hair done, and so I'm not knocking that at all. But as I said before, like your quality of work still needs to be worth what I'm paying in whatever rules that you're setting. And so, because you want to go to a hairstylist that cares about your hair. You want to go to a hairstylist that has taken the time to learn about your hair and your type of hair. Because, you know, again, back in the day, like if you had a hairstylist that noticed that your hair was breaking off and you were having split ends, they would, you know, do treatments on your hair, or they might use a different type of product, or they would give you some tips, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But nowadays, you'll go to a hairstylist and every single time you go to see them, your hair will like break off or get damaged the more and more you go to them, and they won't say anything. They just continue doing what they're doing, knowing that it's breaking off your hair, and they won't even care to help you remedy that. And so, not to mention the fact that most hairstylists today don't wash or blow dry. And that used to, when I tell you, that used to be my favorite part of getting my hair done at the hair salon, was them getting that shampoo and conditioner and really going in your scalp. It was so relaxing. It was so relaxed. Like, I just getting your scalp scratched by a black woman and her nails just deep in your scalp. Like, that used to be the highlight of the black hair salon experience. You don't get that no more. You don't get that. You don't get any of this no more unless you go to someone that's seasoned, unless you go to someone that's a little bit older. But anyone that's new coming into the game, they don't do that. They require now that you wash your own hair and blow dry it and have it parted before you even get there. And it's ridiculous. So all in all, again, I think the reason why a lot of people have stopped going to get their hair done and why so many people are complaining is because the quality of work and the quality of the service is not matching the prices that people are paying and the rules that they have to abide by. It all needs to make sense. And right now it's not making sense. So a lot of women are now just starting to learn how to do their own hair because it's just not worth it anymore. But yeah, let me know what your experience has been with getting your hair done. Let me know if you can relate to anything that I said in this video. If you have had any issues with hairstylists, please let me know your stories in the comments down below. I'll definitely be reading them and responding to them. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
Funny, funny girl that you couldn't